Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Paula Ludwig with the Atlantic Institute. The Atlantic Institute is a nonprofit organization that promotes positive dialogue between different cultures, religions, getting to know your next door neighbor, and we hope with more understanding there's less conflict. So, peaceful dialogue. I am going to show you a short 2-minute video about the Atlantic Institute, and hopefully, everybody else will get in by then. Also, if you haven't already, if you want to put where you're from in the chat, it helps me with my board members and the president to know that we need to keep doing these virtually because we have people from all over attending. So, I'm gonna share now.
The Atlantic Institute is a nonprofit organization dedicated to promoting harmonious coexistence between peoples of various cultures, faiths, and backgrounds. We seek this goal through peaceful dialogue, education initiatives, and community organization. Our dialogue events bring together experts, community and faith leaders, and knowledge seekers to address social issues that affect us all. We feel dialogue is the most important element in peaceful coexistence, so we try and maintain several panel discussions, TED Talk events, and book clubs throughout the year. These events touch on social issues, race relations, and cultural understanding and are a mainstay of our programming. The Atlantic Institute's education events are extremely important to our mission of understanding. We want to promote socially forward critical thinking to students of all ages. To that end, we have developed programs that seek to grow the creative spirit of students and help them think about their communities and the world around them. Our Future Leaders of Dialogue event brings together nominated elite students to learn from each other as well as political and business leaders. Our art and essay contest gives students a theme about important societal issues and allows them to create wonderful works of art and writing while steering their minds towards improving their world. We're always seeking ways to educate youths and adults in order to make a peaceful world for all of us. Our community events are designed to transform neighbors into friends and groups of people into a community. By associating with other nonprofits or by our own initiative, we are always trying to discover new avenues to improve our neighborhoods, places of worship, and community centers. We host cooking demonstrations of food from other cultures, work with various nonprofits to help elevate the work of others, and try to find a way to make the lives of those who are disenfranchised or marginalized better. Building a more peaceful world starts in our backyards, so we are dedicated to improving our communities and associations. The Atlantic Institute is always seeking like-minded volunteers and collaborators. If you would like to learn more, find volunteer opportunities, or just want to chat with our staff, please visit our website at www.atlanticinstitutesc.org or follow us on Facebook. We will never run out of fun, educational, peaceful events, so come join us to help make this world a better place full of understanding and unity.
All right. And with that being said, we are in the process of hiring independent dialogue contractors in other states. So if you're interested in hearing more information on that, please put your email address. You can just put it to me in the chat and let me know that you're interested in the IDC position. We're going to do interviews next Tuesday on that. All right, and now I am going to turn this over to Martha, who is going to make this wonderful dish that I'm surrounded with by here. And thank you, Martha.
Oh, no problem. Thank you so much, Paula, for having me. So my name is Martha Morgan. I am a specialty diet and allergy chef, and basically what that means is I make food taste good even when you have to be restricted, because I believe everybody deserves delicious food. I happen to have celiac disease myself, and I've raised a kid with over 30 food allergies. So I consider myself a little bit of an expert. I've also been a professional chef for over 30 years. You can find more about me at allergydragon.com or follow me on socials, or obviously reach out to Paula and she can get a hold of me as well. But today we're going to be sharing, I'm here in Louisville, Kentucky, and the inventor of the hot brown. If you don't know what one is, we're getting ready to make one. Of course, I'm putting my own spin on the hot brown. So everything in this recipe is safe for me and my family. And you may not need to make as many substitutions. So with that being said, we're going to get started and have fun, hopefully. Questions are always welcome as well. So a hot brown sandwich is basically a delicious sandwich that's open faced, served turkey, bacon, and it's called the hot brown because it was actually invented down at the Brown Hotel here in Louisville, Kentucky. And this recipe is actually based off of their original recipe, and of course I allergy dragonflied it. So we're going to be using 2 ounces of palm shortening or vegan butter soup substitute. Obviously, if you can have butter, go for it. I am not here to judge that because, people's needs are different. Mine happens to be vegan. I can't eat anything with dairy. I'm going over to the abyss over here. So I'm going to melt that in a 2-quart saucepan over medium heat. I don't want it to burn, but we're going to get it melted down because we're going to be I'm using about a half a cup or 2 ounces of gluten-free flour blend. And the reason I'm saying 2 ounces is because the weight's a little bit different depending on your gluten-free flour blend. So for me, it ends up being about a half a cup, whereas with some, it might just be a fourth. Now, if you're using regular butter and regular flour, it would be a fourth and a fourth, because the whole point is to make a roux, you do equal parts fat and flour. But the thing is that gluten-free flour is different and it has different weight than regular flour. So that gets a little tricky. So we're just melting this down. And then I have on hand a vegan heavy cream substitute. We're using 8 ounces. I'm actually going to go ahead and use, traditionally you would use an 8-ounce heavy cream, regular cream, and then 8 ounces of whole milk. Now, I generally use like a rice milk and then a heavy vegan cream. Well, I'm going to skip. I found 16 ounces of a Country Crock plant-based, and it's safe for us in my house. Again, you want to read the ingredients and check out the manufacturers, but it's completely dairy-free and vegan and gluten-free, so it's safe for me. And I'm just going to go ahead and use that because we need the fat to get in there and actually make our lovely, delicious sauce. So we also have some vegan Parmesan, Romano. Normally it's a Romano cheese. If you can have regular cheese, by all means have some. And then we're going to save about 1 to 2 tablespoons just to make it pretty. And my butter is pretty much, even though it's not real butter, is pretty much melted. So I'm going to go ahead and whisk in my flour, which is approximately a half a cup. And over medium heat, I'm going to stir it. And now it's kind of formed a paste. And if we wanted to make this browner, we could, but since we're just using it for thickening, we just need to make it a little brown, or blonde is what we call it, because it's going to be used for that. So we're going to whisk in our cream and milk into the roux and cook over medium heat. Of course, I'm using all cream.
They're wondering if you can hold the brands up so they can see what brand you're using.
I can. And I'm not sponsored by these people, by the way. These are just ones I can use and that I like. I wish. If there's a brand sponsorship out there, like, please let me know. But yeah, I will turn this over as soon as I get this out. But I found this. This is Country Crock. See, there you go. Country Crock plant milk or cream. And it can actually be whisked into whipped topping. And this is made with a pea protein. So unless you have a legume issue, it should be fine for you. It also has coconut in it, which for us, coconut is fine. Technically, coconut is not a nut, even though the FDA says it is. It's not. So I'm just going to whisk this in here and make sure that I get the flour or our roux whisked completely into the cream. If you can use an oat milk, like if you can't find a pea cream, but if you can use an oat milk or a soy milk, they have a tendency to have a higher thickness level to them, like a little bit creamier. Rice milk you usually have to reduce a little bit, and if you use a nut milk, you would have to reduce it a little bit more, just because they use so much liquid in it. So you want something with fat, and that's the reason we have to put the butter in there. for the fat. Okay. So this, we're gonna go until it starts to thicken, but, sorry. So the other ingredients that we have, as I'm trying to stir this, like I said, it usually takes about 2 to 3 minutes for it to start to thicken. Okay, I'm gonna stop having it screech for a little bit. It's on my nerves. So I have some salt, pepper, just some plain black pepper. I have nutmeg. Then we have some parsley and some paprika. Those are more for a garnish. We got some lovely sliced tomatoes. I have some turkey bacon because turkey bacon happens to be safe for us. And then I have, this is also one I really like. This is a chewy eggplant bacon jerky, which can be put in the air fryer, making it really, really crispy. Okay. Just checking on that. Just needs a little bit longer, probably 1 more minute. And I use that instead of using bacon. We happen to have a pork allergy. I'm not completely 100% vegan just because of other allergens I have that affect it. So it makes it a little bit harder. You can use a vegan turkey substitute, a soy product substitute. I just happen to be using some turkey. And then I have some bread that I've already toasted in the toaster. I'm cheating. Okay. So we have this actually thickening up. It started just boiled just a tad bit. But we have a thickness started. So I'm going to go ahead and grab, because this is thickened up. You can see where it's thickened up a little bit. There we go. Trying to get a nice thickening shot there. And we're going to add in all but about 2 tablespoons of this Parmesan cheese. We're also removing it from the heat directly. And we're going to stir that in. I know with this layer it's a little bit harder, but it just is a little lumpy from the cheese. And we're going to go ahead and add in our nutmeg, which I like quite a bit of it. I know it sounds kind of odd. A lot of people are like, nutmeg. But believe me, it does add a really great taste, flavor and taste. And then we're going to add in our salt, about half a teaspoon to 2 teaspoons. I always say tell people to like taste it, but I'm putting about a half a teaspoon in there now. And about 1/4 of a teaspoon of black pepper. And then I'm just mixing this to ensure that the vegan Parmesan is melted into the Mornay sauce, is smooth. And so I leave this is electric, I kind of leave it on low so I can put it on there if I need to. Because it takes a little bit longer for the vegan Parmesan to actually melt sometimes. So I might put it on the heat a little bit, but you don't want to do this if you're doing dairy. Because it likes to separate if you get it too hot, too quick. And you just have to be patient. Now, in the traditional sense, we usually use a broiler. And this, honestly, your Mornay sauce is like the most time-consuming part of this meal, except for pre-cooking your bacon. When you pre-cook your bacon, I prefer to do that in an oven at about 400 degrees on sheet pans. Makes it quick and easy, about 20 minutes, and you're good to go. If you're using turkey bacon, trick to make it crispy, add some avocado oil, because what it is the fat's not in there. There's salt, but there's no fat hardly. And that's what affects it to getting crispy. And I'm not necessarily using it for that, fact, but avocado oil really helps with the fattening, but it's also like the flavor fattening, but it also is the good fat. So you're not adding a bunch of bad fat to your diet if you are trying to watch that. So our Mornay sauce is almost together.
So somebody said, sorry, bad Wi-Fi. Is she making cheese sauce?
I'm making a Mornay sauce, or basically, yes, a cheese sauce.
And is it dairy-free?
Yes, everything I'm making is dairy-free and vegan.
Oh.
Except for the turkey, bacon, and the chicken. Technically, the sauce is completely vegan. I apologize, my face is sweating. Not even that hot. So we're at the point where my Mornay sauce, the fat is leaching a little bit because of the Parmesan cheese, the vegan Parmesan cheese. So what I'm trying to do is just keep stirring to get the flour and everything to go together. And I may have to add a little bit of flour to it just to get my thickening back up. Sometimes things like this happen when you use a different brand than what you're used to, and that's what I did for my Parmesan cheese.
They're asking what brand of vegan parm do you use?
I really prefer BioLife, but I had to get Earth, True Earth. Let me grab it real quick. Oh, it's Follow Your Heart. I was like, wait a minute, it's a different one. It's Follow Your Heart. And I'm just going to grab a little bit more flour because it has decided to separate on me. I get to see my slightly messy cabinet. So what's happened with this is it actually has broke a little bit. By broken means that it has leached out some of the fats. So it went from a fat to a gloopy mess because the fat decided to reach out really quickly. Leach. So the only problem with doing this, probably better off, you can also use cornstarch, is now my Mornay sauce is going to have a slight flour flavor because I'm trying to get it leached back in to become a sauce. And this is the trickiness. There we go. Starting to thicken back up a little bit. Like I want a sauce, not completely separated mess. Well, I tell you what, I have never had one break like this. We may start over if we have time. So humidity, so what I find when I'm doing classes with other people, because I have classes that I do Denmark, Chicago, Illinois, different places, sometimes the humidity will really affect it. We're really humid here. And a Mornay sauce is not something you usually rush, but I think my heat is not liking me. So unfortunately, this is what we do. So usually you've got the cheese in there and it comes together and you have to mix it a while because the cheese melts and the fat goes into it. But unfortunately for me, my sauce has done that, which normally does not take that much time to do. So we're gonna go real quick and I'm gonna dump this and we're gonna go backward a little bit and start over. Okay. Which the cool thing is you always buy extra food because you never know what's going to happen. I'm just going to reduce my fat a little bit. So the cool thing I always say is one of the cool things about working with me is sometimes I just teach you exactly what not to do as well. So the fat content on the Follow Your Heart. So BioLife has got potato in it, potato starch in it. This has modified potato starch, but it also has palm fruit oil. So it has a little bit more of the oil that I've already put in there. And it probably just, when it melted, it didn't melt seamlessly. So I've never had this experience with BioLife. It's VIOALOA, and it comes in a block. And I absolutely love their product. It cooks pretty much just like any cheese. Any of their cheeses I've had cook like regular cheese. Plus they also taste really good. And they have coconut. But also it could also not be a problem, be an issue for some people as well. So I'm gonna get this roux going again. In the meantime, does anybody have any questions while I pull this back out? I'm cutting the fat down by half. So I'm just going with 2 tablespoons instead of 4. And I'm increasing my flour a little bit. We're gonna see if second time's a charm. The country crock plant cream runs really a lot cheaper here in the Louisville, Kentucky. It's like $3.99 versus some of the milks out there. And I've had no problem with it. So again, we're just getting all of this to go down here, and I've just reduced my heat a little bit to see if that's affecting it. And I'm actually, because of the fat content in here, I'm going to add my cheese a little bit earlier. So with a Mornay sauce, the residual heat, you would just be melting your fat together, the cheese and everything together would be coming to temperature, and it would balance it out, the creaminess. Because it's still a very loose sauce. And then traditionally we put this in the oven and we broil. But for me, it's really hot today and I didn't want to take the extra step to broil. So I usually pre-toast my toast. And I'll show you how to plate it without having to put it in the broiler. And you have a higher chance of it actually breaking with the vegan and dairy-free options versus with regular fat. And that's just because the different fats together, if they get too hot, they can break down quicker. So like palm shortening, coconut, unfiltered coconut, unfiltered avocado oil, when it gets cold or room temperature, it re-solidifies. So if you're using something that doesn't re-solidify as well, then it can cause an issue when it comes to like melting at a higher temperature, and then it doesn't reconstitute. So like if you're using like a non, pure, I'm trying to think of like, if you're using an olive oil that's cut with another fat, it would have an issue. But if you use like olive oil, where it gets, when it comes to a cold temperature, when it gets really cold, it actually, solidifies some. It's the different temperatures, if I'm making any sense. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my cheese, because I had extra in here. I'm going to put my half cup in there. And I'm going to go ahead and put my nutmeg and my sauce, and I'm turned down my temperature to low.
They asked if you could repeat the new measurements.
Sure. Okay, so with the country crock, and since I'm using a country crock butter, I went ahead and did 2 tablespoons of the fat or butter. I used 1/4 of a cup of the Parmesan. I went ahead and used 16 ounces of the country crock liquid, the half and half. And I went ahead and I used a full half a cup of the flour, gluten-free flour blend. to get my sauce up. I'm also cooking it at a little bit lower temp, so it didn't melt too quickly for me. Instead of being on medium, I had it down to medium low, which does take a little bit longer, but it's going to end a better result. Did I get all the new measurements in there for you all?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool. Sometimes low and slow is the best thing to do. So normally with a regular Mornay sauce, you would cook it for about 2 minutes. And when I use the cream and then I put the fat in it, normally I will use rice milk a lot. I haven't had the breaking apart very easily. Coconut milk, if you use coconut milk, you're going to have a lot of a coconut flavor. So this has still got some lumps in it, and I'm taking it completely off the heat right now. We've probably been stirring it, what, about 2 to 3 minutes? And I'm just going to stir it continuously here, because it didn't like it when I stopped stirring. I thought I had it all together. And with that brand, for some reason, as soon as it dissipated really quickly, and that fat just didn't go into my sauce like it normally would. Like I said, BioLife, if you can get their Parmesan, it comes in a block. It is amazing. And I've tried this with nutritional yeast. It comes out a little bit more yellow, but it's an okay flavor, and it does thicken really well. And for the nutritional yeast on that, you would use about 1/4 of a cup as well for your cheese instead of using the Parmesan. And I am just waiting for this to not be lumpy, as in lumps of cheese.
I want to know if you can use Land O'Lakes plant-based oil spread.
You definitely could. You just want to see with what other oils are in what you're putting together, like your fats. So like the Land O'Lakes, I don't have them in front of me, but the vegan spread, if it's a lot coconut based or if it's more pea protein based, those proteins do affect how you do a sauce. But yes, you can definitely use it. Just keep in mind when the fats go together, how they can really affect each other. So I would try less is more. You can always add. So I would definitely do 2 tablespoons with that, and then go in with like a 1/2 cup of the flour and the liquid, and just kind of temp it up together. If you feel like you need more fat though, like if it's getting congealed really quickly, you can put more margarine in, or I would put like a tablespoon in at a time and melt it into the sauce. And as long as you keep it low, you keep your control over the sauce. I just got too cocky and had it up a little bit too high. I prefer like, this is not an induction, it's just an electric one, and so like temperatures, being able to change them really quickly is really important when you have got a sauce that you're doing. So
They said it's a soybean palm oils, and
okay,
then they want to know if you can use other cheese instead of Parmesan.
yes, you can. The flavor is going to be a little different. You could use any white cheese. If you use like a mozzarella, though, it's going to be, actually kind of more, if it's not vegan mozzarella, it's going to have a little bit more of a pull to it. But if it's a vegan mozzarella, it will work fine as well. It's mainly for the color. I wouldn't want to use like a cheddar or anything like that. Then it's not really a hot brown. It's just like a Mornay sauce is predominantly a cheese sauce with, more of the white coloring to it. But yes, you can make it your own. Okay. Now I'm still waiting for this cheese to completely melt. It's not. Oh, well. Okay. This is the time time last time that it kind of broke apart on me, so I'm trying to be careful. But it's doing really well right now. I don't always have the best of patience, so. And I find with allergy-free cooking, you have to have patience. My nose is also allergies are kicking my butt seasonal. Okay. We have achieved Mornay sauce. A little bit thinner than I would like normally, but it's going to thicken up as it goes. Biggest thing is I don't want a congealed gross mess that we had last time. So I could put this down in the oven and reheat it a little bit, just get it toasted bubbly. Like if you have a broiler, you can do that. But we're gonna go ahead and actually plate this. So normally I would take a sheet pan and I would put a couple sandwiches together and then I put them on broil or a salamander if you have to work in the kitchen. But you can put it on a high broil and put it in the oven. You can make it into what they call a casserole, but traditionally it's just put on a plate, we put it in the salamander, it gets bubbly and pretty, and then we make it pretty. So this makes 2 hot brown sandwiches, and they're pretty big. I'm getting my plate. I also am going to taste my hot brown. I'm going to use my finger because it's me and my family here today, so. I do need to add a little bit more salt. So. And I just added about half a teaspoon more of salt. So to make our sandwiches pretty, we went ahead and I took bread and I toasted it. I also cut traditionally it's white bread and then they cut the, edges off of it, the crust. And this is gluten-free bread, so it's a little bit scarce, to say the least. So we usually like to put a little bit of Mornay sauce down, but I'm going to put a little bit of turkey down first on my plate. Okay. And I have these 2 are going to be, so I have one plate, one on there on the bottom. I just realized I was like, wait a minute. I'm used to having somebody here help me with my camera. Not happening today. So I have one piece there. I'm going to put 3 pieces down of my turkey. And then I'm going to put these 2 on the side. We've got a little bit of bacon here. We're going to put on top. Now I'm going to start with 2 pieces of bacon because we're actually going to put a total of 4 pieces. And then we put our tomatoes on here as more of a garnish than anything else. But traditionally you kind of do like 4. It just depends on what you like. If you don't like tomatoes, you don't have to put them on here either. I was like, I had a spoon. So we put a little bit, a little bit, a lot, whatever. I love to make this recipe and kind of put like French fries underneath it or a potato if you don't want to do bread. That's a great option. And the thicker the turkey, the better. But technically, this was just a way to fancy up a turkey sandwich, make it a little bit less boring for everybody. Now, I like a lot of Mornay sauce. So I like to cover mine. And then we usually will just put some fresh parsley. I got dried parsley. We're just going to try and make it a little pretty. A little bit of paprika. I have a little bit of smoked paprika. Just add a little bit of flavor and color. And then you can add a little bit more Parmesan cheese to the top. And then we have our sandwich. I'll try to bring over a little bit closer to the camera. My camera's all the way over here, so we'll see. My glare is bad. Sorry, guys. Yeah, that's making it worse. Here we go.
It looks awesome. I'm wondering if because you used a white plate as the background, it's kind of the same thing when you take pictures and there's a white background.
That is true, yeah. Let me do another one with a different color background.
Ooh.
This is my non-favorite camera too. I've had like a comedy of errors. Anything Canon will happen has happened. So we're gonna try this again. It's not my favorite plate, but it's a little bit darker. Maybe it'll come up a little bit better. Show up, show up. So we're gonna do our 3 pieces down first. Now you can obviously put the Mornay out sauce down. I mean, like there's no rules to it. Once you get your sauce made, you do what you want to. There's no rules when it comes to that. We'll put 2 tomatoes down there. Those here. I'm gonna put those there just to make it look pretty. I'm short 1 piece of turkey. That's okay. That means the kids will be like fighting over it. That's fine. And our Parmesan cheese again. Okay. I think that it's gonna at least look a little bit better.
Yes, it does show up better.
Okay.
And it looks awesome. And somebody wanted to know where they're going to pick up their takeout.
Come on down to Louisville, Kentucky. Yeah. Do I need to go any
Yes.
closer, or are we seeing it good enough?
No, I think that's good. Yeah.
And then the sauce, as you can tell, mine ended up being a little bit lumpy at the end because it doesn't want to completely melt in there. But it's still a very good sauce. The biggest thing is not to rush it and, don't get cocky like me, basically. Because this is one of those recipes that here in Louisville, I've made tons and tons of times, and I've made tons of different alterations, but you can have one ingredient that can throw you off, which it did me. Because I didn't realize how much fat the difference was on there. And so it's just a lot of just knowing how to adjust it. So if you do make this recipe for the first time and you're using alternative milks and dairy, I would start with the low measurement and then work your way up. Kind of like I did. So I showed you what not to do and what to do when it goes wrong.
They want to know if you could make this sauce to make a mac and cheese.
You definitely could make the sauce as a mac and cheese sauce if you wanted to. I will be having a macaroni and cheese video coming out in a full recipe probably in the next 2 weeks if you want to check out allergydragon.com or my YouTube channel for that, which is made a little bit different because it's more of a traditional baked macaroni and cheese, but very similar concept for the actual sauce. But yeah, that's pretty much this. This is one of those mother sauces that you can take, and once you know how to do that with a French cooking, you can adjust it and make so many different things out of it.
Yes, once you make the white sauce, you're right. You can, it depends on what cheeses you add and what you do to it afterwards. That, yes, it's very versatile. My family will make cream chip beef out of it. You just add a little bit more milk, or we make a cheese sauce for our vegetables because that's the way we like to eat them. So
I agree. Cheese makes everything better. And the fact that they have so much better dairy-free cheese than what they used to makes it even more.
Yes. Yes. And I found that when I'm doing like a mac and cheese, I use a variety of cheeses. It gives it a more in-depth flavor than if you use just like all cheddar or all parm or all. So it is,
Yeah, and I say don't be scared of spices. Like you may
yes.
not want to keep the nutmeg in there if you're going to use this as a sauce for a macaroni and cheese. I would probably switch out the nutmeg and maybe put a little bit of, I like heat, so
Mm.
I may put like a little bit of cayenne in there.
Ooh.
Um, so different things like that. And like I said, it's a mother sauce. So once you get a lot of these sauces down and figure out how to play with the temperatures, and you understand fat. We have to have fat. Fat is what creates balance. It makes it palatable. And we also need fat in our diets, and the focusing on the healthy fats, but understanding how those fats work together when something's being used with palm shortening, something else is using coconut, and understanding how each of those fats, work. When I do biscuits and gravy, to keep it from breaking, I use a mixture of palm oil and avocado oil,
Mm.
along with a pea protein. So it becomes chemistry, and it's really fun though. I mean, I like that aspect of it.
Any more questions or comments? All right, everyone. I'm good for the day. Martha, anything else? It does
No.
look yummy.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad. It does look yummy to me. Too. My kids will probably my oldest one's here. He's 27. He's on autism spectrum, so he's been pacing back and forth because he's going to get to eat shortly. But yeah, if anybody has questions, feel free to reach out to me too directly via email, allergydragon@gmail.com. If you have questions about the recipe or facts, or if you're doing it and you have an issue like I did, which is a lot of times being impatient, like I did, and I had it up too high, or not knowing how this particular thing works because this is not my normal hot plate. Different things like that affects our cooking. So just don't get frustrated with it and keep trying.
All right, I'm going to end record now.